Kiai, because he's a member of the board of the Kenya Human Rights Commission, which is the organization under attack. So just to make the point that whatever we say here is also representative of the thinking of the board. I've got colleagues that head other human rights organizations that are flanking us. I will not specifically introduce them. I will only introduce Patricia Nyaundi and Commander Musheke. And the reason why I'm introducing them is they are, Patricia is the CEO of the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. That's the constitutionally ordained government body that protects human rights. They've come here and Commander works in the same commission. They've come here in solidarity with ourselves as a result of what has happened. So that is why I was clear. I thought I should specifically introduce them because they represent an official view of what has happened to us and an official objection to the manner in which the NGO Board is treating the Kenya Human Rights Commission. So there is a prepared statement that I will read. You will get copies, and then you can also ask questions. The Kenya Human Rights Commission takes great exception to a document circulating amongst the local media and various social media platforms, supposedly from the Executive Director of the NGO Coordination Board, Mr. Fazul Mohammed, who purportedly proceeds to deregister the Kenya Human Rights Commission. This is sadly yet another chapter in attempts to harass and intimidate the KHRC at the hands of the NGO Coordination Board, and most specifically, Mr. Fazul Mohammed himself. The particulars cited in this letter are baseless allegations that have been directed at the KHRC since 2015, and we have consistently addressed and disposed of them each time. It was alleged then, as it is now, that the KHRC has operated illegal accounts, failed to abide by its statutory tax obligations, concealed transactions in relation to its board members, and made false declarations to the NGO Coordination Board. In what is a recurring trend, KHRC has been condemned and heard by the NGO Coordination Board in clear violation of the Constitution as well as statutory and procedural provisions on this matter. The KHRC, in fact, sought legal redress on these matters, specifically in 2015, and obtained a clear judgment of the High Court in Kenya Human Rights Commission versus the NGO Coordination Act, that is a suit that we filed in 2016. In the case, Justice Louis Onguto found that the failure of the NGO Coordination Board to either give notice or a hearing to the Kenya Human Rights Commission before arriving at a decision to cancel its registration was a violation of its constitutional right, and that this failure was compounded when the NGO Board failed to furnish written reasons to the KHRC when the organization wrote asking for such reasons. It is therefore a travesty of justice that the NGO Coordination Board, and in particular Mr. Fazul Mohammed, would insist on flagrant abuse of office in total disregard of the KHRC's constitutional right and the authority of the courts. Let it be clear that the KHRC maintains the highest level of financial and operational integrity as demonstrated by our consistent and full compliance with statutory obligations. We are up to date in our filings with the NGO Coordination Board as well as other statutory bodies, and have received no queries or citations in respect of our filings. The logical conclusion, therefore, is that this is an act of intimidation and attempt to shrink civic space rather than enforcement of the law. The brazen nature of this attempt also calls to question whether this errant public officer enjoys political support to undertake such an abuse of office. Because of the substance of this latest attack, the substance of this latest attack mirrors that which the KHRC experienced in January 2017 and before that in 2015, when we obtained the High Court judgment, The KHRC remains ready to yet again seek legal recourse to prohibit this unconstitutional action and also to seek redress for the defamatory nature of these baseless, false, and malicious accusations. Let us take a moment to reflect on our supposed accuser, Mr. Fazul Mohammed. He failed the integrity test and stands indicted by the Office of Ombudsman for lacking the requisite academic qualifications to hold his current position, found culpable of gross abuse of office, and recommended that he be surcharged for more than 8 million shillings he has earned since his appointment, not to mention being charged in a court of law for forgery. He has previously been dismissed from his position on account of his conduct by the Cabinet Secretary for Devolution and Planning, only to receive a reprieve when the docket was transferred to the Ministry of Interior. He continues to invoke powers his office has never possessed and purports to instruct other state agencies such as the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Central Bank of Kenya to execute his unconstitutional directives. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission did publish in a Gazette notice dated 31st March 2017 that corroborated the findings of the Ombudsman that Mr. Mohammed possesses fraudulent academic documents. We will confront this smear campaign and stand steadfast in defense of civic space and other constitutionally safeguarded liberties that will never be conceded on account of actions lacking in integrity and good faith. That is our statement, and together with colleagues, I would be happy to take any of your questions. Yes.
My first question is, I'm looking at your colleagues, and I'm wondering, have the expatriates been